Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mental Health Matters. This is Tom Duff, Executive Director of St. Louis Counseling. Check out stlouiscounseling.org if you're interested in our services, or if you're interested in sponsoring a podcast, or heck, just giving a donation to us. Go to stlouiscounseling.org, or you can email Debbie Dugan, that's DDUGAN at CCSTL. And we have Giving Tuesday coming up on December 3rd. So by all means, look us up and, choose St. Louis Counseling, and you will see that we are going for a total of $13,000, which would help us put a therapist inside a school 1 day a week during a school year, which makes huge impact, not only for the individual, but for the school success and academic success as well. So as always on Mental Health Matters, we try to have entertaining guests that we can connect mental health into. So today we're going to be talking about maybe a little weather anxiety and also maybe some body shaming, which is a crazy combination of things, right? But we have with us today our very own St. Louis meteorologist, Tracy Hinson. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be with you here today.
Excellent. I'm so glad you said you'd come. So, it was funny. A couple weeks ago, it was the day of the snow. We had a lot of snow, right? And then all of a sudden,
my favorite weather phenomenon.
Oh, your favorite. So you got favorites, right?
Oh, of course.
So snow is your favorite?
Yes, very favorite.
No, you're not from here originally, right?
No, I'm from Sunnyvale, California.
So
where
that's
it's
why
sunny.
you like snow.
Sounds made up, I know.
But it's always sunny.
It really is, and very nice all
Wow.
year long.
Now, how long you been here then?
I've been here since April.
Mm-hmm. And before that, a couple
I've
other stops?
lived 2 years in Portland, Oregon, which was very nice, but they didn't have enough weather. I thought maybe they'd have a little bit more weather than Sunnyvale, California. They didn't. So I wanted to come back to where it's stormy and where we get a little taste of winter. And then where I really fell in love with winter is I spent 2 years in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, yeah. So you had plenty of snow to shovel.
Yeah, just about 68 inches of annual snowfall.
Wow.
St. Louis average is about 20.
So you'd rather live in that snowy stuff,
I
huh?
love it. I love it.
So, okay, let's go back. What made you interested with being a meteorologist, and when?
I've always loved weather, and I've always loved science. Probably more than anything, I love science. But in first grade, believe it or not, Sunnyvale doesn't have severe weather or tornadoes or anything like that.
Sounds perfect.
But there was a very rare anticyclonic tornado, so it turned the opposite direction it should have in the northern hemisphere. So it was a very rare phenomena. It was very neat, and we had nuns from Kansas, so they knew it was far away, so they let us watch it for a good part of time. And they weren't even worried about it, and so watching this thing was amazing. It was a good, probably couple miles away, and that really got me interested. And then later on, so I liked weather. Mom bought me weather books. In fourth grade, we went to the Indianapolis Children's Museum, which if you've been, has these beautiful glass windows, and I saw my first thunderstorm there.
Wow.
And I thought that was incredible. And then in fifth grade, I told my mom I'm going to be a meteorologist, and here we are.
Wow. Talk about goal-driven.
Right.
Okay, so when you go to college, right, what do you study to be a meteorologist?
So, like coursework. So I have a degree in meteorology and a degree in journalism because I found in college I like doing both. I like reporting. I like the mix of everything, which is nice because I get to do that here at KSDK. But in meteorology, it's a considerable amount of math. And which makes me nervous. I do not love math.
I'm in social work, so I get you.
Physics and a good amount of physics. Thermodynamics was a particularly challenging class, so it's a lot of coursework.
Wow. And then, and you went to, I was looking at your bio,
San Jose
right?
State.
San Jose State and Mississippi?
And Mississippi State. I finished my meteorology program online. So I did 2 years at San Jose State, 4 years of journalism at San Jose State. Then I got a job in television, and the plan was always, I actually started my meteorology, so that would be my third year of meteorology, when I was a senior at San Jose State. So I was almost done, but I knew I needed to continue that on. So I did both for a little while, and then here I am now. So a lot of school, 8 years in total of undergraduate degrees.
But it's paying off, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's going great.
So okay, let me ask you a couple questions. First, the stress of, because I relate everything back into our overall mental health, right?
Of course.
And mental health, the spiel. And if you guys are listening, you've heard it before, right? We all have mental health. We all have physical health. Then our mental health, just like our physical health, goes up and down, right? So, and stress always plays a part of our overall mental health. But in the business of TV, right? And then trying to work your way through the ranks and looking, towards, whatever your goal is, to be the lead or whatever. But like, talk a little bit about kind of that. I mean, because you have to move around a little bit, right?
Yes, absolutely. So it's just stressful not knowing really what your future is going to be. And I think that's an overarching message in the television business, because we have contracts. So I have a 2-year contract at KSDK, and I really love it, and I love St. Louis. But you don't really know what's going to happen after that 2 years. They may want to go in a different direction. They may want to keep you. So maybe you'll be here for 4 years, or it's always variable. So, starting off, I had a part-time job in Salinas, Santa Cruz, Monterey, where I worked just 2 days, and I wanted to work full-time there. They didn't have any openings, so I started applying to jobs and took that job in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which was far away. So, it makes you really nervous, and it took me so now I'm about 6 years into this business, and it took me, not until I got to Portland, so probably 4 years in, to just be okay with not knowing what's next.
So it's kind of like almost a conscious decision to say, this is my field, and this is what's
going to happen, and it always works out.
So what's it like being the weather person that gets blamed for the bad weather, or like the forecast was wrong? I'm so upset about that, right?
I usually own that. So if the forecast is wrong, I'll come on the next day and be like, you know what? I thought it was going to be 20 degrees warmer than it was, but look at these clouds, and then I'll show the clouds that came in, or I'll explain why I was wrong, and that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Weather's not an exact science. And then sometimes they say they're always wrong, but a good amount of times we're always right. So I'll own those days as well.
And then you get to do reporting also, right? So that's got to be it's kind of nice, I imagine, a little bit of both.
It's almost like working 2 part-time jobs that are completely different. And I love that. I don't get too tired of one or the other. I think a lot of people, by the time say they work a regular, Monday through Friday job, by Wednesday or Thursday, they might be very ready for their Friday. But mine's broken up, so it's a little something different every day.
So we had I had somebody come in to interview me one time from one of the stations. And so my image, there's some story going on, and they wanted, to hear about the mental health side. So my image is like, the reporter walks in, and then also the cameraman and all that. But then he was all by himself. He had all of his own equipment. Was that photojournalist? Is that what you call that? Or
multimedia journalist.
Multimedia.
Or multi-skilled journalist. Yes.
Okay, so you carry all your own equipment?
I do. Carry all my own gear. I edit my own packages. And sometimes we do get to work with a photographer. But, either way, I enjoy the camaraderie of working with a photographer. Sometimes it's a second. They might ask another question that you hadn't thought of, or they'll help keep you on track with different things, or they might have a different vision for the package, which really, the package, of course, being the story that airs on TV. So that's nice. But then there's also a good sense of pride when you've done everything that goes on TV.
Yeah.
So when I watch my packages, whether I'm in them or not, I could care less if I'm in them. But just watching the package that I wrote and that I shot, that I filmed, and that I edited air on TV, that's just very much a sense of pride for me.
That's cool. Yeah, which keeps you driven in that regard.
Very, very.
So, weather anxiety. I don't think it's a technical term, but I watch people, right?
It might be.
It should be written somewhere, but
yes.
But like that first snowfall we had this year,
mass hysteria.
I know, and it's like the whole milk and eggs and getting stuff, it's real, and
Very.
At times, and then like you see articles like, well, the news shouldn't be saying this is going to happen. It gets everyone riled up, but if you don't do that, and something happens, or the weather is as bad as what it should be, has an impact, right?
It really does. And people, either way, people get very upset. But if we're being, and most news stations, the weather teams are very honest. It's funny you brought up the bread and milk, because I actually wrote in one of my articles about that particular system, like, don't run out and get bread and milk. It's going to be fine. We're going to warm up later. We're going to make it through this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Because it's like, why do I need that much milk for maybe 2 days? If you don't want to get your snow boots on or
Now, if
something.
snow is a reason to treat yourself to maybe something that you wouldn't normally buy at the
Uh-huh.
grocery store, sure.
That's what it should be. Like, go get me some ice cream, some
Yeah.
candy corn, Fruit Loop. Okay, now I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
going. I should
Oh
stop.
yeah. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever strikes your fancy, then maybe do that instead of the mass panic.
Yeah, yeah, because it is, and so I grew up in Illinois, closer to Chicago, so the snow was, I think, a lot more than what
Sure.
it is here. And so at times, like this last one, people are like, "Are we going to close the offices? We're going to close the." I'm like, "Oh, why we got to close the office, man? There's hardly any. It wasn't even snowing hardly at all at that point.
Right.
But it's just that level of anxiety that is
Makes
interesting.
people nervous. And, there were a good amount. So I was with a photographer that Monday and I was out on the roads and there were still, there were a good amount of people who had some car issues. They were off in the ditch and that's always scary. So I think a lot of times, people, there are reasons to be nervous about the weather.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, past experiences, what could happen.
Sure, what they see, if they're driving somewhere. So
Yeah, because and sometimes I even feel like people are more open about that anxiety than the regular anxiety they may be experiencing.
Oh,
It's
of
funny,
course.
because it's like on everyday stuff, you're not showing how anxious you are. It's like, I might know someone is, but then when the forecast comes and it's just like heightened.
yeah, people are more open to being vulnerable, I think. And two, weather it's usually an icebreaker. They always joke around like, how's the weather?
That is
It's
true.
a common ground
Yeah.
item. So, I think people are more open to being more vulnerable that the maybe driving in ice scares them or they're scared of tornadoes. I think that's more open
That's
than
true.
other
That's a
mental
good
health
point.
conversations.
Well, and it's is that like a joke you guys have within the community about how's the weather or anything in the meteorologist community?
No,
No.
because when we all get together, that's what we talk about. So, this really is what we talk about. We'll talk about big storms we've covered, or ooh, wasn't that day interesting?
So, do you have the goal of being like one of those? You see the reporters out in hurricanes and everything flying around them. Would be something that would be interesting?
Oh, of course, I'd love to cover something like that. Now, hurricanes. Well, I definitely want to experience one at some point in my life as a reporter. I also hate hot weather.
Oh.
And those are always very hot. So a nor'easter, that would be very
That'd be
exciting.
the one.
Yeah, something
That-
like Hurricane Sandy that hit with a good amount of snow. That excites me. But of course, I'd want to cover a hurricane as well.
Yeah.
But a bigger, I think, part too, and I kind of realized this later, when I was first getting into the career, it was so important to me to make it to what I viewed as the big time, jumping up market sizes and getting, I wanted to be in New York. And now that I'm a little older, I'm 28 and I'm thinking about what I actually like. Well, I like a city that has a big enough airport that I can get home, but it's closer. So it shifts and your vision changes and that's okay. So instead of, I want to get to New York, now I just want to be somewhere where I'm happy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it changed. It was a total shift in thinking like, oh, am I not following my dreams or am I still following my dreams? But I think dreams change and
Yeah.
it kind of, goes into all of that. So now my goal is just to continue being happy. So find somewhere where you're happy, find a job you really like, just keep on going.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great mindset. And it, like you said, it changes throughout time, but to be conscious of that is so important because you're able to then create happiness,
Right.
because you're doing what you want to do, which is, maybe St. Louis is the right place. We got all these cool things happening here now and everything.
St. Louis is a wonderful community here, and I'm amazed by all the free things that there are for children and youth in the St. Louis area, and I find that wonderful. The Science Center, the zoo, even what is it? The gardens that Bush runs. It's $15 per
Grant
car
Park?
if you park. Yeah,
Yeah,
Grant's
yeah.
Farm.
Grant's Farm, yeah.
There's just so many opportunities for people here, and I really appreciate that,
Yeah.
which is unique, at least in a bunch of other big cities I've been in. I've
Well,
not
yeah.
noticed all the free things that there are for people.
And that's what's neat to hear too is kind of your perspective. You've been in some of these other cities around the United States, so being able to say like, St. Louis has a lot to offer because we have a lot of issues we have to address as well too, but then there's this other side.
Oh, sure. There's a great side. And, when I tell people from home, I'm from California, you would think that that choosing to come to St. Louis was like coming to a war zone. They're like, isn't it unsafe? And aren't you going to worry about your cars? And I'm like, well, that's, that's some of the issues St. Louis may have. But it's a wonderful town.
Yeah.
It's really a wonderful place to be. I think we have, some people may joke about this, but I think we have really nice infrastructure as far as roads go. I think our roads are really nice. I think our parks are very nice. I've had good experience with our local police officers, and, I feel fairly safe here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Good. And I love, the parks and all the free things that we have to offer.
Yeah. And I really think you can get anywhere in 30 minutes. It just
It's
feels
true.
like you can get back and forth from one side to the other and anywhere else 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
A lot to offer, and not too much traffic either.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the people who complain about traffic have never seen like another larger city traffic.
Oh, yeah.
And the nightmares. Yeah.
It's still, it takes me 30 minutes to get home with no traffic, 45 with it. And that's nothing to me. I'm used to, so when I was living in California, going to San Jose State, I lived at home, which is a pro tip for anyone who's in college. Live at home, save the money. I don't have a student loan debt, but driving into school would take me about 20 minutes with no traffic or an hour and a half with it. It was miserable.
Yeah, put that in perspective. That's dedication there, right? To go to school. So let's switch gears a little bit, right? You kind of went viral.
I did.
Pretty amazing.
Much to my surprise.
Right, and it all kind of started with a viewer, I guess, sending a tweet. Was it a tweet?
It was an email.
An email.
And she wrote about how my belly always hangs over my dresses and it makes them shorter, and that I need to wear a girdle, and it's not the first time she's noticed this. And, we get viewer emails all the time. This one I thought was particularly tersely worded.
Yeah.
So I responded.
Maybe wrong.
Perhaps wrong, in my opinion, wrong. But, whatever. Whatever they see on TV, that's fine. Fine with me. So anyways, I responded almost right away on Twitter and Facebook. I ran out. I was eating pasta, actually, when I was going through the viewer emails. And I ran out to the newsroom. I had one of our producers take a picture of me with the pasta that I really enjoy eating. And I would say, even in that dish, that was a respectful portion of pasta.
Well,
it was not a gluttonous portion of pasta either. But still, nonetheless, Mary, who wrote that email. So I posted just a response back about how, I like pasta, bread, and cheese. I'm comfortable with my body. Let's not fat shame people.
Exactly.
Basically is what I wrote back to her. And I only wrote that as a response, hoping that other viewers in any television market, because we all get them, don't write in comments like that. So it doesn't those don't bother me as much as it bothers other people. Some of my, colleagues who've gotten comments like that, and we all get them. It really bothers them, and it's something they take home or worry about for, even a week. They'll still be talking about that one viewer email, and to me, they're not that big of a deal. So I only wrote that hoping people would stop writing in to their local news station.
Well, and what it did, I think, was to give courage to others, too, to be able to speak out, right? To be able to feel okay about themselves. Right. So yeah, I mean, do you think it happens to more females than men? And
I know it does.
Yeah.
My fiance is also a meteorologist. He works in Kansas City, and he almost never gets comments the way I do. And some news stations actually they'll go through all the comments, and a lot of times they're only from women and not from men. For women, not for the men who I work with. So, and the younger women, I think, tend to get more comments than others. So.
Well, and it just is another way of our society is with gender inequalities and all that. What gave, I guess you kind of defined it already, but what kind of gave you the courage, to go ahead and just say, you know what? And maybe that's who you are as a person too, but to say you know what? That's not okay. This one's not okay. And I'm going to say something.
I've always been, I think, confident. And maybe it's the horseback riding background. because we handle 1,000-pound animal
Uh-huh.
on a regular basis. So that might be it. But I also, at the end of the day, I really love eating, and that's not going to change. I love food. I love going out to dinner. I love the social aspect that food brings. I love the cultural aspect. You could try all different kinds of things, and that's not going to change. So maybe I will not be, like for my sister, for example, she loves being fit. Great. I'm so glad she does. She gets up at 4:30 in the morning and she works out and she eats like quinoa for lunch, and that's just not me.
Yeah.
So, I keep an active lifestyle and I try to keep my portions. So I'm proud of what I'm doing for myself, and this is me.
I think the message is it's okay to be comfortable with who we are.
Yeah.
And then to be okay with who we are, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope people are. It breaks my heart that some people, have a really bad self-image of themselves. It's just, it feels so much better to be confident, and, other people breaking other people down doesn't help anything.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And I think that's the other message. And, when you even think about the mental health aspect, even for you guys to have people just saying negative things at you
all the time.
It's like it's stress. It's toxic stress at times, right? Where it's just like pelting you with stuff. And so to be able to take the ownership of it and to take the control of the situation is very empowering. And
it really is.
It's a great example.
And that's and empowering is exactly how I felt after, and all the responses I got from everyone just made me feel more empowered. And I didn't get, from one mean comment, I really didn't get a single other of the thousands on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, of the thousands of other comments. Everybody was cheering me on, really. So, or being like, oh, now I feel empowered.
Exactly.
So I think for every, bad apple in the bunch, we'll say, like Mary, who wrote that email, there's a lot more good out there too. So.
Yes, and that's so important to remember.
Yeah,
that's a great message. The other thing I'm curious about is you have this website, Miss Mac and Cheese.
Oh, I love mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese more than anything. It is one of those things that, and I don't consider it a guilty pleasure, because it's just one of my favorite things, and if I am going out to eat, for example, and the restaurant is known for a particular dish, we'll say it's a steak dish, and I'm going with the mission to have that steak, and then the waiter says, oh, well, on special today, we have a mac and cheese. Well, I have to order the mac and cheese.
It could be the best steak ever.
It could be, but I'm trying the mac and cheese.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you kind of rate some mac and cheeses, some of the best ones you've been to?
I do. And I, if you look on my blog too, I don't have like a system that's like bad, better, worse. It's just Mackie, because I think all mac and cheese is good. Whether it's, kind of, I've had better, per se. All the way up to Macalicious.
Oh, Macalicious.
Macalicious, that's good stuff. And Mactastic.
That's the pinnacle right there.
Yes, it is.
All right. Awesome. Well, we have been here in Mental Health Matters with Tracy Hinson, meteorologist, KSDK, and empowerment coach. That's what I'm going to call you.
I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, love that you did that. First of all, love that you came on and talked a little bit about who you are and meteorology, and helped me talk about my weather anxiety as well, my theory on that.
Which is totally normal, especially with brides, too. So if anyone out there is getting married, feel free to message us.
Yeah.
We are happy to help. With
Beautiful.
wedding forecast.
Beautiful. Or if you just want to feel better about yourself,
right.
Message her.
You
She will pick you up, and she will help you feel good about
happy to.
Who you are. So Tracy, thank you so much for being with us today. And this has been Tom Duff with Mental Health Matters. And tune in next time, and we'll have another entertaining guest. And who knows, maybe Tracy will come back after she experiences some more weather events.
Yes,
awesome.
I would love to.
All right. Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, thank you.
All right. See y'all. Bye-bye.
This has been Mental Health Matters with Tom Duff of St. Louis Counseling Services. Check out stlouiscounseling.org for more information.